I actually said on the recording, it's so absurd. It's like Borat meets 60 Minutes. I said, I want to make a donation to underwrite abortions for minority in order because I said I had a son who wanted to go to college, and I didn't want him to compete against affirmative action. It was so racist what I was saying. I was acting,
of course,
to get the reaction, and this vice president, hearing all these things, says, this is so exciting and understandable. You know, we go after organizations, you know, exposing illegality in an organization like Planned Parenthood, which I'm not here to tell you pro-life or pro-choice. It doesn't matter. My point was, you know, and this is something that's actually Saul Alinsky wrote about, which is that you make them live up to their own book of rules. And with Saul Alinsky and Planned Parenthood, founded by Margaret Sanger, I called Planned Parenthood, this is right after Lucky Charms, posing as a donor. Not just any donor, a donor with racist motives.
Well, that was Margaret Sanger's motives of starting Planned Parenthood. Most people don't know that.
No one knows that.
But she was concerned with blacks in America, that they were populating at a greater rate than whites, and she wanted to institute the ability to control the reproductive capabilities of blacks. And they don't, Planned Parenthood, that was the founder of Planned Parenthood.
That was the founder of Planned Parenthood, and they're mostly located in urban places. So to shine a light on this,
go ahead.
I called Planned Parenthood posing as a donor. I said things that Margaret Sanger would say. I can't even say it on the air because it's a racial thing, what she said. I don't want to quote what she said.
Basically, she said that we have to control the population of blacks.
She said, quote, we want to exterminate the N-word population.
She said that?
Yeah,
actually.
the N-E-G-R-O.
Not just control the growth, but exterminate.
Right. So you know, again, it doesn't matter whether you're pro-life or pro-choice. The point is to expose this fact. So I did this, and the vice president of Planned Parenthood, named Autumn Kersey.
No, wait a minute. You didn't explain what you did do.
What's that?
You didn't explain that you were offering to fund programs at Planned Parenthood to control black population.
That's what I said. I actually said on the recording, it's so absurd. It's like Borat meets 60 Minutes. I said, I want to make a donation to underwrite abortions for minority in order because I said I had a son who wanted to go to college, and I didn't want him to compete against affirmative action. It was so racist what I was saying. I was acting,
of course,
to get the reaction, and this vice president, hearing all these things, says, this is so exciting and understandable. And she's just ingratiating herself to
because she wants the money.
She wants that money, and I say, I love Margaret Sanger. So this recording comes out, and it causes a firestorm. There are protests from black people protesting outside of Planned Parenthood in like Washington, D.C.
Perfect.
So we're going after these sacred cows, these issues that you're not supposed to. I went to this conference as a young 22-year-old kid in New York City, and he was like, why are you investigating Planned Parenthood? They help people. And I thought to myself, well, that may be true, but I responded by saying all organizations that receive taxpayer dollars deserve to be investigated for doing things wrong.
To make sure they're doing the right thing.
Right. And then I met this young woman named Lila Rose, who was a freshman at UCLA. I sort of traveled around the country doing this. And we went in, and she said she was underage and was raped, or statutory rape from an older man. And they told her to lie, and they told her they told her to lie about her age, which is illegal. We released that video, and Planned Parenthood sent me a cease and desist letter and said, you better take these videos off YouTube. And that was my first test as a 23-year-old kid with, no money. I had nothing. And I had this billion-dollar company threatening me with criminal and civil penalties if I don't take the video down. The cease and desist letter, rather than take the video down, I sent the letter to the O'Reilly Factor, and they had Lila on, this diminutive 18-year-old girl, and then Planned Parenthood backed down. And I learned, that was my first real big lesson in life, which was you always got to do the right thing, and you can't settle, and you can't give them you can't negotiate with terrorists, so to speak. You can't settle litigation. You can't back down.
That would have been contrary to any recommendation you would get from an attorney at that time. If you went to an attorney with that letter of cease and desist, they would have told you, gee, you should probably, let's meet with them. We'll see if we can do this or that. And they would, an attorney would probably tell you to take it down.
Yes.
And that is not the way to win. The way to win
Yeah.
is to find a way around what they're demanding. And you went to O'Reilly, and it made national news, and they backed out.
It's a very important moment. I got that letter, and it's kind of an anecdote no one knows about. But I've been through this now 150 times, similar anecdotes, and every time you're tested, you're being tested, and it's fear, and you can't make decisions based upon fear. And this was they were going to get me on Statute 632 of the California Penal Code, recording in California, although we're in a public place. But when you're holding this letter and you've got this,
And you're a kid,
and you don't know anything, but there's this little part of me, this part of me. I remember holding this letter, thinking people should see this letter, and that was the kind of hopeful, naive part of me that to this day still exists. People need to see this letter.
Right. That they're stopping me from showing the facts.
And later on in this podcast, I'm just foreshadowing, I won't get into it yet, I had that same moment 3 weeks ago, where at the time